Some teachings don't talk about gold or things. Instead, they talk about alignment, which is an invisible current that decides whether wealth moves toward or away from us. The wise people of the Kabbalah called this flow of energy Shefa, which means the divine flow of energy that keeps all worlds going. This flow doesn't use coins or titles to measure wealth. Instead, it looks at how well giving and getting work together. Everything moves towards someone who is in tune with the source, like rivers being pulled toward the sea. That current starts to slow down when the heart gets tight from fear or envy, though. It was never about numbers or charms to find the code to endless wealth. It was about restoring that holy alignment. The old Kabbalists thought that all kinds of wealth start in the unseen world before they show up in the visible world. They said that life was like a ship in their works. The light of goodness leaks out if the vessel is broken by greed or doubt. But if the vessel is made with thanks, kindness, and understanding, it can hold an infinite amount of light. In old texts, merchants, rulers, and mystics looked for this secret. Not the formula for money, but the plan for capacity. How to become a vessel that can hold more than it needs to. They taught that wealth has a name in the spiritual world, Ashirut, which comes from the same root as Osher and means happiness. Before you can be truly rich, you need to learn how to be happy. The Kabbalah talks about 10 heavenly beings called Sephirot, who bring energy from the infinite into the world. The Sephira of Yesod is one of them. It is the lane that brings gifts into the world. Yesod opens when a person lives in unity, with their thoughts, words, and actions all being equal. The channel gets clear. What comes next is not just luck. It's perfect timing. People forgot this language, though. The holy code of wealth was buried under a focus on material things for hundreds of years. Ancient texts warned that people cut themselves off from the source when they seek wealth for no reason. They said that real wealth is the light that comes from being kind, creative, and thankful. It's not owned. It's passed on. We let more people in every time we give from the heart. On the other hand, every act of fear or greed shuts that gate a little more. In the old city of Jerusalem, scholars didn't talk about this balance in lectures, but in figures of speech. They told a story about a candle that wouldn't let anyone else use its spark. It was afraid that it would go away if it let its light shine on other things. But as the room got darker, the light got weaker too. The room got brighter and its own light got stronger when it lit another candle. This was the story of God's economy. Giving doesn't make things less, it makes things more. Sharing acts of light makes the world brighter as a whole. This may seem poetic to us now, but to the Kabbalists it was a rule of energy. Like brings like, they wrote. The vibration of lack calls for less abundance, and the vibration of plenty calls for more abundance. When people truly bless others and are happy for their success, they are in tune with the rhythm of flow. People thought of envy as a spiritual poison because it cuts the cord that ties us to Shefa. On the other hand, gratitude was the cure. Just noticing the blessings quickly makes the vessel bigger. Being grateful isn't a response. It's a call. Kabbalah's secret code says that each person has a unique pattern inside it, a divine name made up of letters of light. When this pattern fits with the cosmic plan, the person becomes a source of wealth for themselves and others. In this way, wealth turns into a current that everyone shares. In order to stop the flow of a river, one must either hoard or be afraid. Mystics from long ago knew that energy, like water, stops moving when it is contained. That's why the way to endless wealth starts in quiet, not by asking, but by getting in sync. They told the kids to say words of blessing every morning instead of requests like, "The light of abundance flows through me, not to me." There is a big difference. Someone who wants to receive forever will chase it, while someone who wants to channel forever will attract it. That change is where the real code of wealth is. People never learned how to get rich from the Kabbalah. Instead, they learned how to shine. Everything else grows as brightness does. The doors open. Thoughts come to life. Partnerships happen on their own. Some people call it an accident, but smart people call it resonance. The world reflects the rhythm of your heart. Shefa's vibration is that frequency, which is based on gratitude, kindness, and purpose. The lost Kabbalah secret wasn't really lost. It was just hidden. It's gone because people stopped paying attention. The code is not written in books, but in how people act. Giving openly, being honest, and seeing someone else's happiness as your own are all things that help you decode it. You are remembering the first deal that the soul made with wealth. So before we go any further, remember this. Wealth is not a goal. It's It's a mirror of your life. It shows how open your heart is, how clear your goal is, and how in tune your energy is with the source. Everything else, like gold, wealth, and chances, is just light taking shape. Have a great time at the timeless core. Here we find again what we never really lost. We just forgot about it in all the noise. The first secret has been revealed. Having plenty doesn't start with having things. It starts with how you see things. The Lost Kabbalah Code's second key says that wealth is a reflection of awareness. What we hold inside shapes the world we live in. If you are grateful, clear-headed, and have faith on the inside, the outside world will reflect that in many ways, including opportunities, health, relationship, and creativity. But if the inner vessel is filled with fear, doubt, or anger, the image is skewed. The wise people said that the world is not a judge, but a mirror. In Kabbalah, this idea is known as Or Choser, which means the returning light. Every thought, word, and deed sends energy out into the world, and it comes back to you many times stronger. It is said that when we bless, we are blessed, and when we curse, we are worse off. What you reflect is how the infinite sees you. The mystics didn't see this as moral poetry. They saw it as energetic truth. So, the lost code of wealth isn't about getting more of what's outside. It's about getting better at what's inside until your image is just as pure. Think of your life as a collection of circles, with each one getting bigger. The self is the smallest area. It includes your thoughts and moods every day. Your home is the next loop, then your job, your relationships, and finally the whole world. When one circle is in tune with itself, it affects the next one. That's why the Kabbalists said that wealth starts in the middle. If your inner state is unstable, no amount of work you do outside of yourself will make it stable. While when the center is balanced, even problems can be used to achieve goals. In his works, Rabbi Isaac Luria, also known as the Ari, talked about how the world was created by the divine light, pulling back to make room for it. Tzimtzum was his name for it. He told me a strange secret. In order to receive more, one must first make room for it. That's the code's second part. In a world that is concerned with getting more things, Kabbalah whispers the opposite truth. Plenty flows into nothingness, not fullness. You make room for something better to come in when you let go of attachment, kindness, forgiveness, or even an old dream. Money doesn't come into a hand that is squeezed. It's lying in an open hand. Mystics did hitbodedut, which means sacred solitude. To do this, they would walk in nature and clear their minds. People there would say, "I let go of what I hold on to so that what is mine can find me." That wasn't clever writing. It was a warning. They knew that the grip of the ego stops the flow of divine energy. This thought is not just about me. It's about the whole universe. Every form of divine energy in the Sephirot is connected to every other form. Giving and getting, growing and shrinking, mercy and judgment. The Sephira of Malkut, which stands for expression, can't make its own light. It gets things from above and shows what it has taken in. Being human is also a mirror. The flow keeps going when we show God's kindness. The light dims when we hold on to things or hoard them. The law of reflection also shows why comparison and envy are bad. Envying someone makes you want to be apart from them. Their blessing is not my blessing, you say. But the truth is that if your heart is open, the light that comes to you can also go through everyone else. When you celebrate someone else's success, it makes your own stronger. The Kabbalists taught that when you truly wish someone well, that energy multiplies and comes back to you. This isn't because of luck, but because your mind has grown. When things are hard to come by, it's easy to forget this. Things like bills, duties, and demands can make the heart feel tight. But the code tells us that what's outside affects what's inside. Or Choser is set off when you choose trust over fear. Light comes back. Doors don't open with force, but with sound. In one story, a businessman lost everything. His business, his home, and his faith in himself. He went around for months looking for a rabbi who could help him get his luck back. Finally, an old mystic told him, "Your wealth is waiting where you last gave freely." He thought back to when he had helped a widow open a small store. He went back to her not to ask for money, but to wish her business success. Within a few weeks, chance came back to him from a different path. He had opened the second gate, which was thought through kindness. These days, we might call this energy sharing or frequency alignment, but the lesson inside is always the same. Before we can receive, we have to become what we want. Happiness doesn't chase, it balances. Being grateful is the beginning of having plenty, not the end result. Take a moment to look inside. What does the mirror inside your head show? Lack of resources or enough? Trust or doubt? The old code tells you to clean that image every day by being aware, being humble, and giving. Because the world can only show what it sees, just like light. And once the mirror is clean, the vessel is open, wealth doesn't seem like something to seek. It just comes naturally to you because of who you are. The law of reflection is the second key to the lost Kabbalah code. First, change what you send to change what you see. The third part of the lost Kabbalah code talks about the gate of generosity. This is where the invisible becomes obvious and energy changes into real blessings. Mystics from long ago knew that the world doesn't work by taking but by giving and receiving. The world is full of things that grow when people give. Trees that bear fruit, rivers that flow, and stars that shine all do this. Things start to break down when they stop sharing. So, being generous is not the same thing as charity. It's just being a part of the cosmic flow of life. Jews with wise minds used to say that money is not yours. It's a loan from heaven. It gets heavy the more you hold onto it. It gets lighter and brighter the more people share it. Rabbi Moshe Cordovero wrote that the amount of charity is not what matters, but how generous someone is, or what they were trying to do. A coin given out of kindness shines better than gold given out of pride. According to Kabbalah, this exchange starts chesed, the sephira of loving kindness. This is the divine flow that makes all other gifts bigger. But real giving doesn't start with the hands. It starts in the heart. The mystics thought that the best way to give was with a kind thought, a sincere blessing, or a quiet wish for the well-being of others. These inner gifts shape the flow of wealth long before anything happens on the outside. This is what the Kabbalah calls intention before manifestation. Every action has an energy, and kindness that comes from a pure heart spreads light. A very old story tells of a man who prayed every day to be rich. He couldn't eat or drink and begged and waited, but nothing changed. He had a dream one night that someone told him, "Give what you want to receive." He was lost, so the next morning he gave bread to a stranger. A few days later, his crop doubled. "Now give without waiting," the voice said again. He started helping people quietly, not expecting anything in return. The blessings got bigger and bigger. The voice told him in a whisper, "Because you have stopped giving to get, you now give to become." One of the most important ideas in Kabbalah can be seen in this story. Being generous makes the soul better until it looks like the Creator. Giving is the same as being holy. The infinite gives light, life, and air without running out. We connect with the same creative force when we give from the heart. And when those points are lined up, the gates of Shefa, which is divine wealth, open wider. But the code also says to be careful of inequality. Giving without thinking can wear out the body. The mystics said it was like pouring from a cup that is broken. The energy leaves us when we give because we feel guilty, afraid, or like other people want us to. Being truly generous means being aware, careful, and happy. It feeds both the giving and the receiver. The wise people called it tzedakah, which is usually translated as charity, but means more like righteous flow. It is the art of bringing balance back where there is lack, not just giving away extra. Kabbalah's spiritual economy says that every time you share, you move energy around. You get better when you help someone else get better. You feed your own soul when you feed someone else. The river never goes in a straight line. Mystics called this or makif, which means the surrounding light, or the blessings that circle around you until your heart is open enough to let them in. Being generous opens that door. Plus, they taught that giving makes you see things in a new way. You tell the world, "I have enough," when you give. That statement changes your energy right away from lack to abundance. It changes the subconscious mind, even if the gift is small. It tells the soul that it lives in plenty, not lack. A lot of Kabbalists started their day by giving one coin before prayer to show that they were ready to spread light. Giving first means opening first. There's a quiet secret here. Being generous leads to and results in having plenty. You get better at giving as you do it more often. The vessel gets bigger. The flow gets stronger. What starts as a single act of kindness turns into a routine that draws people together. You stop looking for wealth because you understand that you are already a part of it. The ocean doesn't chase waves. It just lets them come back. Being kind also cleans up mental energy. We reach spiritual stagnation when we cling too tightly to things or accomplishments. Giving takes that hold off. It cleans the energy of wealth, turning heavy energy into light energy. That's why Kabbalists often gave money without giving their name. They wanted the act to be clean, without any pride or attention. As the wise men put it, When the left hand doesn't know what the right hand gives, angels step in to bring good news. To live through the gate of generosity is to walk in sync with the flow of God. It doesn't mean living without rules or judgment. It just means believing that what you let go of will come back to you in a better form. What you let go of with love will come back to you with light. The code of wealth is not a secret that you should keep to yourself. It is a flow that you can join. Don't ask how to get more money tonight when you think of being rich. Instead, ask yourself, where can I let flow happen again? There is plenty waiting for you somewhere, just waiting for your permission to move. It could be in a kind word, a small gift, a moment of kindness, or an act of forgiveness. All of them are gifts that make the gate a little bigger. The Kabbalists thought that heaven doesn't think about how much someone kept, but how much they shared, how much light went through their hands. Giving is not a waste of energy. It brings it back. This is what the third code is all about. Giving freely is living freely. When you bless other people, you remember that you were blessed at birth, and putting out your hands means letting your fate happen. The third secret of the Lost Kabbalah Code is the gate of generosity. Every lesson in the Lost Kabbalah Code leads to the same timeless truth. Wealth is not a place you get to. It's a flow that you follow. It gets up and down, breathes, and moves to the beat. Life flows smoothly when you go with the flow. Stuckness can show up in many forms when it is fought, such as lack, exhaustion, and disconnections. The fourth and final mystery of the code is the covenant of flow. This is the holy deal between the soul and the world to keep moving, send light around, and trust that what is given will come back changed. It was taught by the Kabbalists that the holy world is made up of motion, not stillness. The 10 paths of divine energy called Sephirot are not fixed spheres but living rivers of light. Each one always gives to the next. Keter pours into Chokmah, which then pours into Binah, and so on, until the light hits Malkut, which is the world of events. Inequality happens when this flow stops, which they call Din, the judgment of closure. But when giving and getting go hand in hand, Shefa, the divine abundance, comes down easily. In terms of people, this means that life shouldn't be seen as something to be held, but as a bond that needs to be kept going. Time, health, and success are not yours. You are in charge of them. As long as gratitude and understanding are at the heart of that care, the current stays clean. But when the ego gets too tight, the flow slows down. The Kabbalah says that if you hold on too strongly to money or fame, you will lose touch with Malkut, which is the physical form where divine energy takes shape. A closed box doesn't hold anything. In Tzfat, there is a story about a rabbi who prayed every morning next to a small spring. He noticed one day that the water was no longer moving. He dug until he found a stone in the way of the source. The water spewed out again when he took it off, shining in the sun. He looked at his students and said, "The same is true for the soul. The blessings stop when fear or tight control make the heart hard. Take out the stone and the water will flow again." Trust is what the agreement of flow is all about. Not just waiting, but actively giving up, being ready to move with God's pace instead of against it. The mystics thought that all problems in life, whether they were mental, financial, or spiritual, started with resistance. What if I lose? Asks fear. What if I receive? Asks faith. One shuts down and the other starts up. The code's wisdom is simple. What you let go of in trust comes back to you in a bigger way. But the bond is more than that. It asks us to be aware of where our energy goes. Every thought, word, and deed makes waves in the ocean of humankind. The stream is tainted by gossip, pessimism, and judgment. Thankfulness, prayer, and kindness clean it up. Mystics said that a person is like a bridge through which spiritual energy flows between heaven and earth. If pride or anger breaks down the bridge, the flow slows down. Even the smallest person can be a source of blessing if you treat them with love and respect. Master of the Kabbalah often said that money was like neutral light, not holy or impure, but changing depending on what it was used for. It becomes holy when it is used for service, kindness, or making things. It gets heavy when it is stored or used as a weapon. The light that builds can also burn. The purity of it rests on what it's used for. So, the agreement of flow calls for wisdom, not just to give or receive, but also to make sure that everything you do is in line with the truth. These days, we often mistake noise for plenty and movement for growth. But real flow is quiet. Being aware that every cycle has a breath and an exhale is the calm rhythm that drives action. At rest, you don't stop the flow. You respect the break before the next wave. The Kabbalists thought that the Sabbath, or Shabbat, was the best way to follow this rule. They saw it as a day when people should stop trying to be perfect so that the universe could breathe through them again. They said that the deepest wealth grows again in stillness. The covenant also comes with a duty to let other people run too. We dam our own river if we stop their growth out of jealousy, greed, or trickery. Blessing someone else's success opens up a path for everyone. Every honest praise of someone else's light brings more light into the world. This was known as Tikkun HaShefa by the mystics, which means the repair of abundance. Many people can get back to a state of balance when one person frees the flow within themselves. But the most important thing to remember is that you can't fake flow. You have to live it. It asks for regularity or practicing being aware every day. Ask yourself every morning, where can I move my energy today? It could be a kind word, an act of forgiving, an act of creativity, or a moment of thanks. Each one keeps your soul in touch with the infinite. You don't worry about losing things when you follow the covenant of flow because you know that nothing real is ever lost, only changed. The energy that leaves your life will come back in a different form, like a new idea, a friend you didn't expect, or help you didn't expect. Flow means putting your faith in the divine's unseeable dance. All that comes to me, flows through me, was the last thing the Kabbalists said at the end of every meditation on wealth. The covenant seal serves as a warning that life's treasures are not meant to be kept but shared. The light that flows through you will always be there. All you have to do is keep it moving, pure and living. This is the last part of our trip through the lost Kabbalah code. Remember this truth. Connection is more important than wealth. If you're truly wealthy, you'll feel free to move energy through your hands, heart, and mind. If these words have made you feel something, then carry them on. Share them, live them, and breathe them. If this thought touched your heart, please subscribe to the Timeless Core. Not for me, but for you and everyone else who still wants to find light in a world that gets stuck. Because life moves with you when you flow. There is never a lack of balance. Everything is just waiting to come back.